Okay, so now we're going into talking about how the adrenal gland affects the stress response. And I once again have some slides from the Interactive Physiology website, which is linked to the my AMP website. I'm going to start out showing this little video. First, it's not the meat of what I want to get into, but I like the intent of it because it shows the man pictured here getting into a stressful situation. So I'm going to play this.
When there is an overwhelming threat to the body, the nervous and endocrine systems produce a well-coordinated, generalized, non-specific response designed to ensure the survival and health of the individual.
Okay, so now I'm going to go talking into more about how the adrenal gland does play a role in the stress response. What we have pictured here is the hypothalamus. Actually, we have the anterior and posterior pituitary gland below the hypothalamus, but the hypothalamus really controls and sets off the whole process by initiating the sympathetic or parasympathetic system. So these are the pictures, these are the videos that I use to bring a full understanding to it, and it shows a really nice detailed process. It's not just saying this does this and the adrenal gland releases epinephrine or norepinephrine. It's a good process. I'm going to let the video speak for itself.
The hypothalamus directs the body's stress response. The nervous system sends information about the stressful condition to the hypothalamus, which then engages both the nervous and endocrine systems in response. Click the hypothalamus to begin.
See, this is the other thing I like about this website. It is interactive for me. I can use this to multitask in my learning process. I just automatically know to go. Although it's highlighted and blinking, I automatically know to go to the hypothalamus. It helps with other things amongst learning the specific objective that it's trying to get across.
The hypothalamus engages the sympathetic nervous system in a neural and endocrine response, the well-known fight or flight response, which prepares the body for immediate physical action. In a combination of direct action by the sympathetic fibers and epinephrine from the adrenal...
Alright, I'm going to pause it right there. It shows the whole chain of events here, how where it starts in the hypothalamus, goes to the spinal cord, enacts a sympathetic activity, and enacts epinephrine or norepinephrine from the adrenal gland. Makes sense.
Adrenal medulla, cardiac output, CO, increases, ventilation increases, blood pressure rises, and is maintained at a level adequate to drive blood to the working organs, and blood flow is redirected from the GI system and other quiescent organs to skeletal muscle and the heart. Sweating is stimulated. Epinephrine reinforces the actions of the sympathetic system, especially relaxation of the airways and dilation of blood vessels to skeletal muscle and the heart.
Now, the dilation of blood vessels is important because if the sympathetic nervous system is inactivated or is activated, the muscles are going to need more blood, so it makes sense for the blood vessels to dilate. Now, look what I have here. On this screen, I have somebody pointing out, a voice telling me what everything is going on that would take me hours to read, I think, in the study. But I get it. I watched the video a couple times, and it makes sense.
Epinephrine directly stimulates tissues to meet increased metabolic needs. The major effects of epinephrine are stimulation of glycogenolysis in liver and skeletal muscle, gluconeogenesis in the liver, and lipolysis in adipose tissue. Glucose and fatty acids provide fuel for working organs. Notice that this metabolic pattern is similar to the pattern in the post-absorptive state. The activity of the sympathetic system and epinephrine inhibit the release of insulin and stimulate glucagon. Glucagon reinforces the fasting metabolic state, and the active inhibition of insulin is essential to keep plasma glucose levels high. The fast-acting catecholamines initiate the stress response. They produce rapid, short-term changes because they are secreted rapidly from storage vesicles, and they act rapidly on target cells.
Now, when I don't understand a word, catecholamines is one of those words that I had a trouble with remembering what it was, but it's a type of organic compound that contains a benzene ring structure and an amine group. Dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine are catecholamines. Okay.
The effects end quickly when catecholamines are removed. Click the anterior pituitary to continue.
Alright, now interactive again for me. Anterior pituitary.
The hypothalamus stimulates release of corticotropin-releasing hormone that causes secretion of ACTH and ultimately cortisol for a more prolonged response. Because its synthesis and release are slow and cellular responses require transcription and translation, the effects of cortisol occur after a lag of about 30 minutes. Click the adrenal cortex to continue. Adrenal cortical hormones maintain and amplify the effects of adrenal medullary hormones. Together, the two parts of the adrenal gland act as a functional unit that first initiates and then maintains and modulates the response to stress. Remember that cortisol is a glucocorticoid named for its effects on glucose metabolism. Cortisol mobilizes energy stores and stimulates breakdown of protein, providing amino acids to the liver to produce glucose. The amino acids can also be used to repair damaged tissue. Cortisol acts on the liver to both produce glucose and store it as glycogen. Cortisol stimulates breakdown of triglycerides in adipose tissue that increases fatty acids for fuel and glycerol for producing glucose in the liver. Fuels continue to be made available, glucose for the brain and fatty acids for other tissues, to ensure survival at a time when an individual may not be able to eat. In the presence of norepinephrine, cortisol enhances the constriction of blood vessels. This is an important contribution to maintaining blood pressure. Cortisol also inhibits inflammation and other aspects of the immune system, keeping it in check. Click the hypothalamic pituitary axis to study additional hormones involved in the stress response.
Okay, so I'm going to stop with the video there, but that gives a generalized idea of what the tools that I used to help learn about the body's effects when stressed, or the adrenal gland's effects when the body is stressed. Where the cortisol comes from, where the epinephrine and norepinephrine come from. I'm able to multitask, and what would take me hours to study, I'm able to learn in the videos and to watch and interact with and click on things and learn that way by having to know.